fuck. The Game Boy Advance. The metaphorical puberty in the Nintendo's Game Boy lineup of handheld game consoles. It kinda sucked fuck. Not saying it was a bad console per se, but it was the worst out of the Game Boy line, which it's kind of like saying it's the worst Beatles song. It's still a good thing, it's just the worst out of all of those same classification of good things. This console is a complete chode in the way it's designed. It's one of the more uncomfortable Game Boys, even in comparison to this gray brick. This thing is, in my opinion and a lot of other people's opinions, more comfortable than this. I don't know why they changed this to be a more horizontal layout. I suppose it could be good for some people, like if you have a very weirdly angled thumb, so it could go up that way. But it's just not comfortable for the majority of people. Honestly, it's just underwhelming. For these Game Boy Advance, which is supposed to be, you know, an advanced Game Boy, the only benefit with this over the original or the Color or the Pocket is the fact that it can, you know, play Game Boy Advance games. That's it. In a lot of other ways, it's kind of worse. The speaker, I'm pretty sure, is smaller. The D-pad is smaller. The buttons are smaller and less comfortable to push. It's uncomfortable to hold, odd to look at, and generally is not the best of designs, especially for a Game Boy. It reminds me more of the Sega Game Gear, or maybe the Nomad, or even the PSP. Not a Game Boy, because you know the Game Boy to be these bulky vertical little things, and that's kind of like their design, which is good because it's a comfortable design. It's nice to hold, it feels good in your hands. This doesn't. You have to hold the Game Boy Advance at so many odd angles with your hands, and you typically don't know how to hold it. It's kind of like if somebody designed the Xbox 360 controller using the Quake engine. It's blocky, it's uncomfortable, it's not great. It doesn't have any light in the screen, which is one of the biggest complaints of the early Game Boy series. Even the goddamn Game Gear had one. I don't know why Nintendo did not even put a front light in some of their consoles. And by some, I mean the Game Boys. This really should have had a backlight in it, or a front light. If it had those, it would have been marginally better. Now, obviously, you can add a front light to these. I have this Game Boy Color that I modified to hell, but would most people want to do that? It's not even a matter of whether or not you could figure it out because it's easy as hell. It's just a matter of who would want to go through the trouble. It's not good. I don't know what they were going for. I think Nintendo kind of screwed up on this thing. It's not comfortable. Most people don't like it. It's not the preferred Game Boy, if that makes any sense. Like, I prefer playing the original Game Boy over the Game Boy Advance. Even the Game Boy Micro, which unfortunately I don't have, is better than that. Genuinely, the only, downside to a Game Boy Micro is the fact that it can't play original Game Boy games, which is fine. Basically just having a Nintendo DS without the top screen. That one's even more comfortable to hold. I don't have one, but I've held one before. And it's, compact. It's maybe less comfortable than, the big ones, because it's not a big one. The Game Boy Advance, they really tried to hone in on that kind of horizontal design, and it did not work. I think the Game Boy Advance SP was definitely one of, or if not the best, Game Boy in the series. Firstly, it looks great. It looks goddamn beautiful to look at. Look at that. It's so neat. It's so non-cluttered. It's a very nice looking, ignore the sticker, it's a very nice looking design. It's got the clamshell function, so it's one of the most compact out of them, other than obviously the Game Boy Micro. So you can fit it into your pocket real nice. The buttons are very comfortable. They're much bigger. They're like the size of the original Game Boy buttons. Maybe a bit smaller, but they also don't stick out like this one's do. With buttons sticking out, it can make it very uncomfortable for your thumbs to press them down. Same with the D-pad. Both the buttons in the D-pad have an indent into it. And also, obviously, one of the best parts is the front light. Unfortunately, I don't have the backlit model, which I'm working on getting one, but the front light functions just as well. And I really don't see why they didn't put a backlight in the Advance. Honestly, I don't know how they went from this, which is bulky and not user-friendly, to this, which is one of the best renditions of the Nintendo Game Boy, which went on to inspire the Nintendo DS. Anyway, if you disagree with my opinion, then that's fine. You're just kinda wrong. But that's okay, because some people just aren't right. So, that is why the Game Boy Advance original is the least good version of the Game Boy.